My name is Bathsheba. I know what they whisper when they speak of me. The woman who bathed where he could see her. The woman who tempted a king. The woman who cost a man his life. But no one ever asked me what it felt like. No one ever let me speak. Until now. Let me take you back to the night that changed everything. It was warm. The kind of heat that presses on your skin long after the sun has gone. I was alone on the rooftop, not for show, not for scandal, just for silence. I had been faithful, dutiful, married to Uriah, a warrior, honorable, devoted to the king. And I was clean, spiritually, emotionally. It was a ritual bath after my cycle, part of my faith. A moment between me and God. I didn't know he was watching. King David, from his balcony far above the rooftops, in a place where power often clouds judgment. The next day the messengers came. Soldiers, at my door. No explanation, just a summons to the palace. You don't say no to a king, not in Jerusalem, not then, not when you're a woman. My heart pounded the whole walk. Was I in trouble? Had Uriah been injured? But no. I was ushered in like a guest, draped in fine cloth, given wine. And then he looked at me, not like a man looks at a woman he loves, but like a man who wanted to forget he had boundaries. I didn't have a choice. Some people still say I seduced him. I say, they've never felt the weight of power pressing down on a woman who cannot say no. I went home with shame under my skin. Weeks passed, and then the nausea came. I knew before the first missed cycle, I was pregnant. I couldn't breathe. How do you explain a child conceived while your husband is away at war? How do you survive that shame in a society that stones women? I sent word to the king. I thought maybe he'd confess. Maybe he'd take responsibility. He didn't. He tried to cover it up. He called Uriah back from war, encouraged him to relax with his wife, hoping the baby would be mistaken as his. But Uriah was too righteous, too honorable. He said, "How can I go home to my wife when the ark of God and my brothers are out there fighting?" He slept at the palace gate that night, on the ground. David tried again, got him drunk. Still, Uriah refused to go home. That's when I knew something was going to happen, but I didn't know how far it would go. David wrote a letter, gave it to Uriah, made him carry it himself. Uriah never read it, but I did, later. It said, "Put Uriah at the front lines where the fighting is fiercest, then pull back." He was executed, without a trial, without a chance, murdered. And the king, who had taken everything from me, now took me too. He brought me into the palace, married me quickly, before too many questions could be asked. But people always ask. They talk, they point. I wasn't a queen. I was a cover-up. I felt hollow. My belly grew, while my heart collapsed in on itself. And then, when the child was born, he became sick, very sick. I prayed like I'd never prayed in my life. I fasted. I wept. I laid on the ground, begging God to let him live. But he died. My milk came in the next day, and I had no baby to feed. I screamed into my pillow, so the palace wouldn't hear me fall apart. They said it was justice. They said God was punishing me. They said I was a curse. But the strange thing about being shattered is that when the pieces are small enough, God can rebuild you differently. In time, David came back to me, but this time he didn't come as king. He came as a broken man, repentant, changed. And I was not the same Bathsheba from the rooftop. I had walked through fire, buried a child, survived judgment. I carried myself differently. I spoke boldly. We had another child, a boy named Solomon. This one lived. And one day, the prophet came. He said God had another name for my boy, Jedediah, beloved of the Lord. They didn't see that coming. From scandal came the next king. From grief came wisdom. From me, the woman they shamed and blamed, came the lineage of Jesus Christ. Let that sink in. God didn't erase me from the story. He engraved me into it. And listen, to every woman listening to me right now, you may have been blamed. You may have been used. You may have been whispered about. You may have made mistakes or been crushed under the weight of someone else's. But you are not your scandal. You are not your pain. You are not what they call you in rooms you're not in. You are not a footnote. You are a future. Don't let what they saw stop you from becoming what He sees. If He could take my story and turn it into a lineage of royalty and redemption, He can do it with yours too. They saw a scandal. But God, He saw lineage, and maybe, just maybe, He's writing yours next.